What's up, friendly neighborhood nerds? If you want to hear interviews from industry pros, get first looks, and have access to endless comic content, wake up. Please wake up. You're in a coma. Your mother misses you.
Wait, and now go.
Oh, here I am. Okay.
Oh, wow.
What's up, friendly neighborhood nerds? This is Judah Rad, and this is another episode of Live from the Apocalypse. Today we got Robo. We do not have Ree. She is not available today, and Garrett Gunn might be showing up later, but we do have Anthony Gramuglia. Anthony, we have had some new subscribers since you were last here. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Anthony. I'm a writer for CBR, the Mary Sue Anime Feminist, Anime Herald, a bunch of different sites. I have a Twitter account that has some people on it who follows me. It's fun. It's cool. I've been trying to come a few times recently, but every time you guys ask me, some horrible event occurs or I get engaged. One of the two.
Congratulations, by the way. Congratulations.
Oh, thank you. No, it's been a hectic 2 months since the last time I was on here. That was fun, though. I heard I got doxxed just for being advertised in your market.
Yeah. You got doxxed, I think. I can't remember.
I mean, I was doxxed before, so this is like a repeat. It's like, what happens the second time you get doxxed? If it's the same information, it's like you get double doxxed.
Yeah.
I only bring a gift for a first doxing. I don't bring a gift for a second doxing.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's like getting a birthday present the day after your birthday. It's like, yeah, it's cool, but I mean,
happy belated doxing, I guess.
Yeah, it's all right, I guess.
I'm not gonna lie, I did feel a little bad about it because it was like, and I was I'm scrolling through it, and I saw you were on there. I'm like, oh man, he didn't even make the show. He still got doxxed.
They'll find a reason. They like it at this point. I had someone when I tweeted I got engaged, like making fun of like, oh, it's some soy boy nonsense. I'm like, okay, it's cool. That's fun. They find an excuse again.
I like soy. I'm just gonna come forward and say I like soy.
Yeah.
I like soy sauce. I like tofu.
It depends on how it's used, I think. I think in certain dishes it's really good, but I wouldn't say like, oh hey, you know what this chicken can use? The first thing would be soy. It'd be like, oh, maybe I'll get some.
You don't have cravings. You don't have cravings for soy. I got you.
It depends. Soy's in a lot of stuff.
Nothing beats a good spaghetti and tofu. It's just perfect.
Tofu tastes like whatever sauce you put on it. You know what I mean? That's really what it comes down to.
I'm not over the fact you use spaghetti and tofu as your go-to soy example there. As an Italian, I'm a little offended. Right? That hurt me deep, like in the soul area.
But then again, even like I would say, as if you're Italian, no matter what spaghetti I make, it's probably not the right kind of spaghetti. Like, what are you doing?
Not. No.
What are you doing to your sauce? That's not what you're. Oh my god.
No. It's terrible. I come from a family of food connoisseurs, so
nice.
If your spaghetti isn't up to par, then I mean I can't even talk to you.
It's got to be al dente, right?
It depends. It's more the everything else. It's more you put how you salt the water, what type of you put in your sauce. I like personally getting some like good old ground beef, some shredded up old my food shredded up stuff. It's all good meats.
So here, let me ask you this: oil. My dogs. Oh, there
Am I frozen there?
Yeah, a little bit. You're back now.
That's
good. Oil while the in the water, while the noodles are boiling, or not?
Say again. Sorry.
So oil.
Do you add olive oil to the water
while the noodles are boiling?
Depends. That's not one of my first choices. Usually it's more of a salt in the water I find works better. If to salt the water a bit. But I don't know about olive oil necessarily. It's more like after it's out for me, personally. Like I'll put the olive oil.
Don't stick, right?
Yeah. And plus, I think it's just because if it's in the water, it doesn't mix very well. So it's like it's not gonna really soak in like you want it to.
It's funny when I read about it, it's almost like a subs versus dubs kind of argument amongst cooks.
God.
And it's like no, you don't put it because then the sauce can't permeate the noodles. And it's like, no, if you don't use it, then the noodles are gonna stick together, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. So. Yeah,
I know that's it gets intense. People, you don't mess around with pasta. That's
it's near and dear.
No, and that's just one dish. Anyway, I'm talking about pasta this whole time. I kind of stole your topic away from you there.
So speaking of pasta, do you mind kind of noodling us in on what kind of comic books and movies and video games you've been consuming lately?
Polly,
Oh, yeah.
That was the
Polly
worst.
made it. Woo!
That was the worst transition
That was
ever.
good.
It's a good transition. If you want me to go first, I had to reread an old '90s manga for a couple articles I'm writing. Specifically one called Gravitation. I'm not sure if you guys have ever even heard of that one. It's '90s Shonen Ai manga that was very popular. Like a retrospect on it for the. I'm not sure if you guys have ever even heard of that one. I also watched the anime version. '90s. Of that. It's a little out there. It's an odd series. It's spoiler for the article. I didn't like it. Revisiting, it's very problematic. It was very the queer coding was very uncomfortable. Very much that whole dynamic of the predatory older gay man being attracted to the much more submissive younger, also gay man, but he looks like he's 12. So it was very uncomfortable to read. In hindsight. Also, in terms of games, I've been doing a lot of Among Us.
Oh.
It's because the popular game everyone's playing.
Do you stream or are you just playing with your friends?
What's up?
Do you stream or are you just playing with your friends?
Nah, just casually playing. I've been having issues, honestly, with my computer. It's been acting up with whenever I put up a game, it's been like BSODing. So if I streamed, it would probably be the worst stream ever because like halfway through, like, oh, now the computer's dead. Okay. Oh, well.
Right.
I forget that there's people out there with real friends, and I'm like, so I have to like go into the internet to find my games to play with. So yeah, that's good.
God, yeah. It's fun. It's fun. I got like Discord messages all of a sudden, like, oh hey, you play some games? Like, no, I'm tired.
Right. It's the same. Well, like I haven't been playing a lot of video games lately, but when I do, it's a very introverted activity for me. I do it because I don't want to interact with anybody. So I prefer like campaign type stuff or like good story type games. So you must be excited for that new Final Fantasy 16 trailer, or I might play it. The last Final Fantasy game I enjoyed or even played was Final Fantasy 12, which is a while ago. Really? Not even 15? Yeah. Okay. I mean, there's no counting for taste. I loved 15 personally, so I was a little biased there. But yeah, I just didn't get to it. You know what I mean? I was distracted. I was doing other things. Not cool things. I'm not saying I was doing cooler things. I was just doing other things. You probably were doing cool. No, 15's good. If you get a chance to play 15, play it. It's not bad. It's freezing up, I think, on my monitor for you. Is my voice coming in and out, or? It's a little intermittent, but I'm getting the general idea.
Yeah, and it's not even super bad. It's just every now and then you might freeze for a second, and then.
Okay. I'm not sure because I'm looking at it through the lens of, gonna knock off a couple things here while we're talking. Okay.
What about you, Judah? What are you reading now?
So I'm still beefing up my DC headcanon just because I've been such a Marvel boy for so long with only intermittent bouts of DC. I just read Final Crisis. And I'm continuing through the Grant Morrison Batman run. Where are you at right now? I'm reading Batman and Robin, the the Dick Grayson Batman, and yes, Damian Wayne Robin, and it's actually really freaking good. Yeah. Oh yeah. My friend in college made me read all of that because I passed up on it for a while, and then college happened. He's like, oh no, you gotta read this one because he had the whole collection on his shelf. I'm like, so good. Sorry. Yeah. No, it is. And I was not loving Grant Morrison's early Batman. It was hit or miss. There was some where I was like, damn. And then he gets so deep into the meta commentary. Like, he's really trying to deconstruct comics when he's writing these characters. And sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's exhausting. Last night I watched the Beatles movie. It's called Across the Universe. Have you guys seen that?
No.
Oh yeah, years ago. That was like 2007, 2008, right?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that when I was years and years ago. That was good. Yeah,
it's emotionally resonant, and if you love the Beatles, like the songs throughout, and it's a really cleverly made movie. It's almost like a musical, almost like a movie. I don't know. It's cool. Yeah, I haven't seen that in years. Now, I haven't thought of that movie in so long. Wow, I remember loving that in high school. That was like when my Give it another look. Good. No, I gotta revisit that one.
Nice.
What about you, Robo?
Before I get into that, I just want to look at some of the chat here. Michael Malone said earlier, great, now I'm craving soy. My shirt. I actually just put in Friday Goku because I saw it on somebody else, and I wanted it, so I went to Google and Googled Friday Goku shirt, and it'll come up. Let's see. Oh, we got Aramis here. Glennis is in here. Polly, we already said hi. Sketchy says, if you like yaoi, you might
yaoi.
like it. But Gravitation, the anime, I am guessing tones it down versus the manga.
Yeah, it really did. It was not my thing. I didn't love it. And I like some stuff like that. I like some shows like that in some anime, like Yuri on Ice, Given. I think those are really good. But Gravitation just didn't. I don't know. Didn't win me over.
And just in case you guys are wondering, especially given the promo, Garrett Gunn will be on in a little bit, or might not be. I don't know. He's taking his dog to the vet. He had to get him spayed or neutered. I don't know what's the section.
Get her spayed.
Get her spayed. There you go. Okay, it's very important that we know that it's a spay, not neuter. And
right.
So if he gets here in time, he'll jump on, and then we'll get to talk about his book, Warcorns. Yeah, that's
Warcorns, which is actually, I mean, it sounds crazy, but it's awesome.
It's actually awesome. And it's hilarious. It's really, I want to show some of the pictures. If he doesn't come on towards the end of the show, I'm just gonna go over Warcorn.
We'll talk about it anyway.
The imagery that I have up and ready to go. I'm actually, as usual, slacking on my comic book reading, and I have finished the 2 Jokers, but I've been actually big into. Three Jokers. The 2 issues of 3 Jokers is what I meant, and that's actually really good, really fucking good. We'll talk. I know we're supposed to talk about that a little later, but I read that. Starting to read Harrow County again, because if you guys don't know, we did 1 episode with Cullen Bunn. Awesome dude, really fun interview, and then he agreed.
He's coming back.
To come back. He agreed to come back. He's going to do a second episode with the rest of his like indie work that he's actually doing more of these days. But I'm like more watching TV. I started playing Avengers and The Forest, and of course Among Us. And then what I'm watching on TV is The Boys. That's caught up. Raised by Wolves.
How is that?
Dope.
It's supposed to be great.
I heard it's amazing. Because I like Ridley Scott's other science fiction stuff, except for Prometheus and Alien Covenant. But usually he's really good with sci-fi.
Yeah,
except when he's not.
These are great. And god damn, it's so good. And it's funny too because so you have like this like. One of my pet peeves for some storytelling is just, kind of like treating the fans like they're idiots, right? And so sometimes things are so on the nose. I'm like, okay, got it. But here's what's interesting about it. I'll just give like the premise real quick. The premise is we're obviously way into the future, like however many thousands and thousands of years into the future. Humans, there's been a great war, and the war is between a very clearly a religious sect, and even like their astronaut uniforms, stuff like that, are very they call back to Crusader kind of uniforms. And then the family that you're following is not like by their own words atheist. And so there was an atheist sect and the religious sect that are fighting. And in this particular case, the atheist sect is like the less technological one, which I thought was a bizarre choice.
No way.
Yeah, exactly. And then the religious sect is like the super advanced one, right? The Empire, right? But, and this is where I'll stop. It's not clear really who the good and bad guys are, and I love that. Of course, I want the atheists to be the good guys, but it's like, wait, I don't know where this is gonna go, and I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes in, but fucking good.
That's interesting because
I was just gonna say just real quick. My dad loved that show, and then he just posted on Facebook that he thinks it drops off at like episode 7. So hopefully he's wrong.
But I guess I follow your father on Facebook closer than you, because he recently gave an update to that to say the last 2 episodes he just watched made it all worth it. Continue to watch it, he says. So
Okay.
yeah, I don't
Guess
know.
you know it.
If he wants a new son, just let me know. I don't mind having multiple dads.
What were you gonna say, Anthony? Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, I with most of these shows, once I get like 5 episodes in, I'm in it for the long haul. But sometimes these shows they can have like a weak middle act. I think with actually, it's kind of the same with a lot of. I haven't seen it, so I can't tell. I'm just talking on my butt right now, so I don't know what I'm talking about really.
Sometimes you have shows like The Walking Dead where it starts off and you love it, and then it gets like so bad that you start to question even the ones you liked, and you realize that maybe I never really liked it to begin with. Maybe I was wrong in liking it. Like maybe it sucks,
Yeah.
Some things zombies just don't last for a long. They have an expiration date. You can only stick with the same group of survivors. Anything with survival in the concept, you can only last for so long before you're like, okay, let's move on. Let's end it.
They're coming out with a new
good.
spinoff. They're coming out with the new spinoff. That should have been the news. I forgot to add that. I saw a commercial the other day. There's a new Walking Dead spinoff. Unless I
great.
misread it. Yeah. It's something to do with like something in the. I don't think it's prequel. Michael would know. Michael, speak up in the chat. I know you know.
I don't know. I don't think you need another one. I think it's done. I think at this point we're good. Let's just cut it off now. We're done.
Yeah.
Although, what's his face? What's his name? Who is it? Who writes it? Robert Kirkman.
Yeah, Kirk.
Yeah, his Negan little mini was pretty dope. So.
Walking Dead comics are some of the best comics I've ever read. When I knock the show, I am not knocking The Walking Dead. But the show just completely jumped the shark for me, or nuked the fridge. Isn't that what people say now? The show nuked the fridge for me.
Huh. Interesting. No, I've never heard of that.
My problem is its pacing. Well,
because
it's pacing.
Yeah, the pacing. How many conversations do you need to have of whether it's okay to kill people in the post-apocalypse outside in the dark while people are crying? You know what I mean?
Right.
Exactly. It doesn't make sense to me personally. I think it's
too much.
I'm not doing it.
Right. So we're going to get into some news items. We got some pretty fun ones. Let's take a look at the chat really quick. Let's see what we got here. Michael Malone, Sanctum. It's about a demonic temple found deep underwater by a submarine crew, and they have to unravel the mystery. What are you even talking about? Oh, Lazarus. What? Sanctum? Sorry, I'm terrible at reading comments. Polly, you said something interesting. You said it's not a Beatles movie. Is that in reference to Across the Universe? It's 100. I promise you, Polly, it's 100% a Beatles movie. I don't know what to tell you. It's called Across the Universe. It's literally named after a Beatles song, and the whole movie features Beatles songs. It could not be more of a Beatles movie.
But is it fake?
Sorry.
Is it fake Beatles? Is it really the Beatles?
It's not about the the characters are not the Beatles, but everything else of the movie is Beatles.
Yeah, I see the argument is though it's inspired by the Beatles.
That's fair.
My fiance studied the Beatles in college in the course, so I'll have to check there. We'll see what.
Beatles movie.
Can you major in the Beatles?
The movie
no,
is a
of course
romance
I can't
musical.
major in the Beatles. You kidding? No, but she studied some of the stuff in like communications.
Right.
Polly.
So
she's never. She will be there. You better double and triple check your shit.
Ooh, no. Polly's has a point. It is more of a romantic musical it's like a jukebox musical with all the musical numbers being the Beatles. I can see the argument, but I can also see your argument. It's murky middle ground.
Okay. All right, Polly. We'll call a truce for now, but we're gonna have to revisit this at some point. So the film adaptation of Black, a Kickstarter-funded comic book about a world where only black people get superpowers, is headed to Warner Brothers following a deal with Studio 8, who will finance the picture. Black is an adaptation of the Black Mask, which is, by the way, an awesome publisher, comic series from co-creators Kwanza, Osajyefo, and Tim Smith 3. His last name is apparently 3.
If it wasn't clear, we are now getting into the news.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. With a screen adaptation written by Brian Edward Hill, a producer on DC's Titans and comic book writer himself. This looks awesome. I was looking at some of the promotional materials. I think this is going to be really badass, and I think it's going to be very timely and relevant. Have you guys seen any of the stuff for it yet?
No, but I'm going to buy the fuck out of it.
I kickstarted White. I think it's a sequel series or like a spinoff. No, this is gonna be great. I have no doubt about this. It's gonna be awesome, and the comic is brilliant. The creative crew behind it is brilliant. I am just eager to see this. I really think it's going to be kick complete ass. And I'm not sure how faithful it's going to be to the comic. I hope it stays faithful because the comic is some unrestrained social, like, just...
Really?
It doesn't hold... Kwanza doesn't hold back.
Yeah. Yeah.
He doesn't shoot half-mast. He's going to go, like, all the way with... I'm excited. I know that there's... I know that it's going to be quite engaging. And I think, honestly, considering we almost had kind of a renaissance of, like, really socially relevant adaptations of comic books. I think this is just what we needed. I think it's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, of course, I have no idea beyond the fact that it exists in terms of the adaptation.
I didn't read Black, but I'm looking at this cover art, and you have some very, very powerful and kind of interesting imagery. You got guy's got his hands up, like, don't shoot. And there's looks like there's cops and, like, militarized police behind him. And then you have this weird take on the original Donkey Kong for the Game Boy.
Yeah.
The old arcade. No, read it. This gets a real recommendation in my book. It's not a superhero story so much as it is a real story of deconstructing societal standards and concepts. It's quite good. Oh, it's really good.
Yeah.
I also feel like, as a white person, that it's not my place to really discuss and break down the ideas of it, because it really is a story that can only be told by someone who is black in America, growing up in this system of, everything we have right now.
Yeah.
So you really should not take my word for it. Just read it and see it for yourself.
Yeah, I saw a little bit of an interview with Kwanza Osajyefo. I wrote it down and I already forgot.
I'm mutuals with him, and I still don't know how to say his last name. I'm very sorry. If someone's just watching this, I'm really sorry. I don't know how to say your last name.
I think it's Osajyefo, but I'm not 100% sure.
I think it's Osajyefo, but I'm not.
Yeah, Osajyefo. Yeah. That's what I wrote down here to remind myself, and I still fucked it up. That's great.
If I'm wrong, don't hesitate to correct me, because I don't know how to pronounce anything.
Yeah. So I was reading I was actually watching a little bit of an interview about this. And it was a great interview. He gave a great interview. He's telling a little bit about it. He's talking about the film adaptation, addressing what you said about it being faithful to the book. One of the things that he says is he was like, he said, make the movie, make the movie. And I've heard that sentiment more than once from creators. Sometimes some of the people that we've had on the show were like, it's the fans that need this 1-for-1, deal. But as a creator, they're like, why? It almost doesn't make sense. If you want a 1-for-1, read the book.
Kieran Gillen said it.
That's what it was. He's like, just read the book. But if you want to do it your own way, so like Lock and Key, I think is great for that. You know what I mean? Like Lock and Key, the show, and Lock and Key, the book, are not the same. And I think the show still does a great job.
Same with the boys, I'd say.
Mm-hmm, yes.
My view on that is similar. So I'm a little bit here's the deal. I totally agree with Kieran Gillen's stance that the movie or the show has to justify its existence by being different. Because if it's exactly the same, like a Zack Snyder frame for frame thing, why does it even have to exist? It doesn't. So I agree with that. But at the same time, there's a thing within a comic or within any source material, and it's not the events or the characters or even how it looks. It's the spirit of the source material, and that's the thing that I feel has to translate over. Otherwise, it's not really an adaptation. Do you know what I mean?
No, I've heard the same thing about Watchmen, right? So exactly verbatim what you just said, where some people look at Watchmen and they're like, "This is great. This is this." You look at the book. This is great, and then I know, not just from Alan Moore, but other people who respect Alan Moore's point of view, they're like, it's something about the spirit of the story didn't come through in the movie, and that's why, in their eyes, fails. I still like it, but whatever.
Yeah, I think another one is The Spirit. Will Eisner's The Spirit.
Did not watch that movie. It got the worst reviews. Well, got like a 10%.
Well, that's because Frank Miller directed it. I think he directed it, right? Is Frank Miller who directed that?
Yes, he directed it.
Like aesthetic. Here's the thing. They got the aesthetics for the movie in theory down. It's just the movie had nothing in common with the spirit of the comic. It felt too silly and cartoonish. And the only thing I remember from that movie, in hindsight, is that there's a lot of monologues about how much he loves the city, like a Frank Miller story, and Samuel L. Jackson is ridiculous in it. And I'm not.
There's
and that may be a positive. I have no idea.
in the original Spirit, you know, I get it. Times have changed, but the original Spirit has a character. I can't remember his name, but he's like a sidekick character, and it's one of the most like racist caricatures that I've ever seen. So hopefully that didn't pass into the movie. That's like
it's been years.
That's definitely a thing that cannot make it into a movie adaptation of the Spirit.
Oh yeah, I think you have to update it to fit. As long as the spirit's as long as this comic spirit is the same.
Right. Spirit of the Spirit.
Exactly. So I'm excited for
one last thing that I did get out of that interview was that I went to the comics because it had a bunch of downvotes, and the downvotes come from, you probably can guess, the very sensitive part of the population. And so that was just even more motivating to go, I'm going to go and definitely support this. So
of course they don't like it because they don't believe that politics should ever be in comic books unless it's right-wing conservative religious politics.
Then that's just normal. That's just normal.
That's just normal, yeah. So we're going to move on here because we have something that I'm definitely going to get my hands on, by the way. Todd McFarlane, my man, is releasing for Spawn 311 a tribute cover for Chadwick Boseman. And if you look at, so he tweeted this. I got the tweet here, and then we got the actual full cover. But he goes, Spawn 311 tribute cover. I thought it appropriate for one of those well-known heroes, Spawn, to pay tribute to a man who made a lasting impact on helping shape such a strong superhero of color. This is badass. I mean, it's Chadwick Boseman in the Spawn costume, which fuck yeah, like makes me even sadder in some ways because I would have liked to see Chadwick Boseman play Spawn. Yeah. But that's never gonna happen.
Is it Chadwick Boseman, or is it just like Spawn with like his not burned up face? That's what I'm wondering. I'm not sure. It looks like Chadwick Boseman.
I think you can pass it as both. He calls it a tribute. Calls it a tribute. He can't say it's Chadwick Boseman without you know what I mean, and he can't say it's Black Panther.
Yeah, it's the Wakanda salute there. No, I love this cover. I think it's brilliant, and I think it means a lot in terms of comic history because you know, obviously Black Panther is one of the most important fictional characters in comics. Chadwick Boseman's performance is one of the most important, and I think honestly, in the years that follow, Boseman's body of work, and he still has like two things that have not been released yet that were filmed. There's a movie coming out on Netflix the end of this year, or I forget what month, November or October. It's still coming out, and I know that Denzel Washington produced the movie, but I forget the name of it. Maybe the comics can help me out on this one. And I know that he also voiced Black Panther for the What If thing on Disney Plus. So that's two more performances. But after that, like, his work will be examined and socially valuable and criticized for years to come because it's just so important, all of it.
I swear every year or every day I find out a new Chadwick Boseman fact where I'm like, God damn, I'm gonna pull
up another one, and maybe if you guys have already heard of it, let me know. But Chadwick Boseman was doing 12 Bridges, and
21 Bridges or 12 Bridges?
I'm sorry, 21
Talk about
Bridges.
His salary.
Yes.
Yeah, with Sierra Miller, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh God.
I heard about that today. I was watching Blurred Without Fear's stream, and I was like, that. Like you said, every time you hear of something, it's like, this dude is not just your typical rich, selfish person who like he does stuff, but it's performative. There's stuff that you didn't even know about. And that's how you know it was like just from the heart. It's great, good stuff.
And he had to have known everything he did was so valuable. I just hope he knew because, like, it's hard to put into words because obviously, again, we're talking about a lot of topics dealing with the Black community, and I'm not Black, obviously. So I feel like it's not my place to speak on any subject matter with any authority whatsoever. But as a film fan, as a comic fan, it just seems like his work is some of the most significant, culturally significant stuff produced in this medium for years. But it's not just comics; it's also, you know, he brought freaking Jackie Robinson to life.
Yes.
And Jackie, get on up. Is that? What is it? Crud! I'm trying to blank on his name. Movie Get On Up. What's his name? Crud. I can't believe I'm I hear him making this whole statement. I'm forgetting the person's name. Crud. James Brown. There we go.
James Brown. Yeah.
No,
Your brain fart is
incredible.
contagious, because then as soon as you stop forgetting, I was like, now I forgot. No, don't not forget.
Oh, no. It's great. It's great. You forget everything the moment you need to talk about it.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah,
I saw James Brown live once, by the way.
Really?
Really?
Oh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Oh, it was really good. It was him and a bunch of really young people playing the instruments.
That sounds about right.
What's super
Makes sense.
shitty about this whole thing is that, how fucked up is it that we don't get to appreciate or acknowledge these sort of things while people are alive? Like, people literally, and I'm one of them as a consumer, don't care about these sort of things until it's too late. You know what I mean? Because I'm not digging into the well, maybe I would care. Hold on, let me quick. The media doesn't care, like, as far as paparazzi and what makes the news, because I didn't hear about all this stuff until he passes, and it's like, oh, he's dead. Great, let's do all these headlines. I'm like, why didn't you tell me these things earlier so I could have appreciated it?
A lot of that is a testament, like, so, you know, in a Jewish tradition, we have a thing called a mitzvah, and it's a good deed. A mitzvah is a good deed, but there are rules associated with a mitzvah. Like, when you do a mitzvah, you're in no way benefiting of it. It's not a mitzvah if you are making money off of it, or if you're getting accolades and recognition for it. So with Chadwick Boseman, he performed a lot of mitzvot in the sense that he did great things, but he was not showboating or grandstanding, trying to, like, you know, praise me for these great things I'm doing. You know what I mean? Not saying that it's not a good thing if someone does something good and they also get praised for it, but he was really singularly focused on his deeds, not on the rewards that come with those deeds. I think that's a lot of the reason why.
The actress.
Yeah, plus, he was a private guy too.
Right.
He didn't tell anyone that he had. You know, no one seemed to realize he had cancer. Not his coworkers, not his director. Well, maybe a couple of his directors, I think, here and here, but for the most part, he just didn't tell anybody, because he didn't. It wasn't their. For one, it wasn't their business. For one, and two, it wasn't. You know, he wanted to have his own life, his own time. He didn't want to have people questioning him about his illness. And, you know, and the media was, quite frankly, awful to him towards the last couple of months. Like, because he was very gaunt looking, and people were like, the paparazzi were like pestering him about this. And that's sad, because it feels like, because you realize, like, this man is remembered for his heights, but in the last days of his life, he was kind of being pestered for stuff that was outside of his own control. And I find that the saddest, that, you know, that kind of must have weighed on his mind, that stress when, you know, he needed, I don't know.
I like the lessons learned too, with when you look at like there was some TikToks that went around towards the day, well, you know, in the time before he passed, because nobody knew he had cancer, and they're making fun of like how skinny he looks and all this stuff, not knowing that he was about to die. And really, honestly, like, sometimes, you know, I try not to body shame, and I try to be better as I get older. I try to get better at that stuff, and that really kind of just nailed it for me. You know what I mean? And when you're like sitting there and you want to clown people about stuff like that, I'm like, you have no idea what the fuck is going on in their life, and that really, yeah, that was crazy. But anyways, I had a hard question for you guys. I remember what I wanted to say.
Oh, cool.
Here's a hard question for you guys. How do you feel about Todd McFarlane putting this on the cover that will go on for sale? I've heard some criticism saying that he should have just done the art and maybe raised money for a charity, and that this might be exploitive. I don't know how I feel about it yet.
It's not my place.
I agree with Anthony. It's not really my place to decide if it's I'll say it doesn't offend me, but that holds only so much stock, because I'm, you know, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I guess that'd be a better question for some Black Americans to
bring Kwanza on here. Ask him that question. No, don't worry about that. No, Kwanza, he has his own stuff he has to worry about. If he wants to, we can talk about it. But I don't know.
I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear it.
No. Yeah, he'd be
speaking of representation, or actually, before we move on, Robo, do you have an opinion on that, or are you just kind of
no?
You know?
Well, I think it's okay to have opinions on things, I think it's healthy. I think I like that, that you guys are preferencing things like you don't speak for the black community, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not black either. I don't claim to be black, but I do think it's okay to have, from my perspective, this is how I feel. I could understand if especially black Americans might disagree with me. I would respect that opinion more. But I do think it's okay to have an opinion, because you could just kind of you can kind of project from yourself. If it's not Chadwick Boseman, if it's your mother, and then some comic book, wanted to put her on the cover, and then they made a lot of money on it. What I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
If it was my mom, I wouldn't care. Honestly, whatever. Okay.
Yeah. We'd still be sad. We would not be stoked that she was dead. We'd be sad that she was dead. But outside of that, we'd be like, "Oh, sweet, mom's on a cover of a comic book. That's awesome."
Cool. And I think the thing is, you have to ask. I remember when he first died, a lot of black artists were saying, "Listen, if you're not black, please don't, make artwork of Chadwick Boseman right now. It's really our loss. We have to mourn first. Then you guys can afterwards." I don't know if enough time has passed where people would still feel that same tinge of someone trying to hog the spotlight of the mourning of, if that makes sense. I'm not sure it makes any sense.
It does make perfect sense. My faces are, and I'll take the heat if we're not famous or anything, but I'll take the heat on this. As the brown dude, I would say that nobody owns grief, and we can move on.
That's fair. And again, it's a case by case basis. I don't want to say anything personally, because I feel like it's just not I don't have a strong enough. I can see both ends of the argument.
I get what you're saying. You want to make room for other people to converse about it. That
exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Speaking of representation, onto some more fun news. Not to say that that's not interesting news, but it also makes me sad because I miss Chadwick already. But moving on, Iman Vellani. That's a name that many of you probably haven't heard until recently, but she's going to be Kamala motherfucking Kahn on Disney Plus. She's going to play Miss Marvel. And what's funny, so as soon as it was announced, people found her Letterboxd account, and she's like, you read her reviews on movies, and it's like Kamala Kahn is making reviews on movies. It's like she's perfect for this role, but it's really cute. Like Contagion, she just goes LOL because she watched it in 2020. And then Spider-Man 3, she's like, this is so unironically great, and I'm like, how do you say that? But she knocked the Captain Marvel movie. She knocked the Captain Marvel movie, but praised what's her name? Brie Larson. But it's just very cute and fun. I'm excited to see her in this role, and I think the whole internet really appreciated it. I did see some people that misunderstood the amusement for criticism. I saw a couple tweets where people were like, hey, she's just a girl. Like, why are you guys hassling her over her letterbox? And I appreciate someone coming to her defense, but I don't think it was necessarily required in this incident, because I think most people were like, oh, So
yeah, I think the fear with a lot of people, and I get this fear, is that they're going to harass her like they harassed Brie Larson.
Sure.
And they will.
Which they absolutely will.
And I think but I also think that if you're cast in a Marvel film, first off, no one's going to be harassed. No one's going to harass her as much as Brie Larson, I think, personally, because actually, I can't even say it with a straight face. I have no idea. I didn't think Brie Larson would get harassed like Brie Larson did. If she gets harassed like that, then I'm quite honestly, people suck. There's no way around it.
You could just bet right now. There's a 1,000,000% chance, if that was mathematically possible, that she is gonna get shit all over, no matter what. So you just gotta be there to support her.
Too.
Yeah.
What kind of monster would harass? Like, I know that they exist, but I'm just saying, like, what kind of piece of shit do you have to be? Like, I look at this girl and I'm just like, it's like wish fulfillment fantasy watching her. I'm like, she was just a very little known actress, and now she's about to become she's about to become huge. Yeah. She's going to be huge. And it's like the dream come true is going to be a superhero. I'm just excited for her. I'm kind of living vicariously through her, because I'm like feeling like that little girl who her dreams come true. It's like a Cinderella story. So it's like exciting. And why would anyone in their right mind want to try to ruin that for her?
Because people suck. Yeah, because people just suck. And I'm hoping for her, it's a Zendaya situation where not only will she become famous for playing like some key roles, but then she'll get more roles on top of that, and just keep becoming more and more successful. I really hope the best for her because
I hope it snowballs.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to see her and Miles Morales in the film together. Personally, that's what I want to see.
Yes.
But again, we'll see that when it comes.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I really hope she's going to kick ass in this.
And I think Glennis says casting is disturbingly good. That's all I wanted to say was like not even like I haven't seen her act. I haven't seen anything else she's in. I haven't gone to look for it, but just her headshot there, I'm like, that's Kamala. Kahn, you know what I mean? And more than just being brown, like everything, her features, her smile, her like the way she's posed in the picture, I'm like, that's great.
It was a fan edit, I believe. I don't know what the picture is. Where they took like another shot of her, another photo of her, and they photoshopped a replica of the costume over her, and it looks like 1-to-1 like Kamala.
Right.
She's gonna be great, and I have no doubt she's gonna blow this freaking out of the park. I'm excited.
I'm excited for the show, and it's no secret. I've said it on the live stream before. I'm not a huge fan of the Miss Marvel run, of G. Willow Wilson's Miss Marvel run. I'm glad it exists. I'm glad other people like it. You know, I'm not against it, but I just did not derive a lot of entertainment from it, and I think it's just because I like more serious, more violent comic books. So
that's fair. I loved it personally. It was my cup of tea entirely. So for me personally, if this draws from that, hell yeah, I'm down. I'm excited, and I also want to see you do serious stuff too. I want to see both, the blend of it, and I hope they keep her around for the movies as well, because maybe they'll get to see her.
Maybe they'll get Zack Snyder to direct it. It'll be a gritty, dark take on Miss Marvel.
I really hope
think
not.
I think that would honestly. I think that would ruin it. I think she exists for, if we talk about representation, more than being I don't know if she's Arab or Persian in the story, but more than being Muslim, just even the age group. I think she's good for that conversation that we've been having as far as getting comics that reach out to kids and teens. I think if they pulled her, because now she's famous, she's going to be on Disney Plus and all that stuff. If they pull her into a more gritty role, I think they would kind of ruin it. I think they just leave her there, like, you know, do that.
Right,
plus,
they'd make
the MCU. Sorry, I cut you off there. I'm sorry, but I started babbling before I realized you were talking. Sorry, you were saying?
No. I was agreeing. I'm excited to see the show. I think I'm gonna like the show better than the comics, to be honest. And I was kidding. I don't want them to make it a gritty, dark show. You know what I mean?
I assumed. That
yeah. Right. But yeah, that's exciting. I'm stoked for this. Just on a side note, not really a side note, but I feel like the world needs the MCU. It's been too long since MCU.
Yeah.
We're in this weird in between period. I remember there used just last year we had a movie every year to look forward to. Yeah. Sometimes 2, sometimes even 3. And now it's just this dead space. I'm like, what joy do I have in life with no MCU? You know.
Don't worry. So, between May of next year and the next May, you're gonna get 8 Marvel films. No, not counting the Sony stuff.
Look, a lot of people tell me correlation doesn't prove causation. All I know is 2020, I have not seen a Marvel release yet, and look how 2020 is going. So nobody can tell me shit. You know what I'm saying?
That might be causation right there.
I mean, the last time we had a year without an MCU release, it was the swine flu. So there you go.
So I'm just asking questions here, guys.
Just asking questions, all right. So let's ride this Marvel train all the way to the station. Next news item, right now, and we're talking about something special now. We're talking about freaking X-Men. I've been like avoiding cursing, and we're allowed to curse here, but I don't know why. It's just like for some reason I've been avoiding it. Right now, all of the X-Men titles are gearing up for the massive X of Swords crossover event, which is, by the way, when I say massive, I mean like 24 issues, something like that. While we don't know exactly what will go down in the story or how it will end, Marvel did already reveal one thing. It will lead to the start of a new S.W.O.R.D series by Al Ewing and Valerio Schitty. Skitty or Shitty? I think it's Shitty.
I'm hoping it's Skitty, because Shitty sounds too funny.
As a fellow weird last name person,
same.
I empathize. But the title will see the return of the organization meant to deal with all manner of alien threats, and the new team at the heart of the series will include members such as, of course, Abigail Brand, Magneto, Young Cable, Manifold, and WizKid, and more. So, Kieran Gillen did a S.W.O.R.D mini a while ago. I think it was in the events leading up to AVX, I want to say. But it was really badass. And Abigail Brand, I wish she should be a household name eventually. Hopefully she makes it into the movies. She's such a lovably mean-spirited character. I love her. It's going to be really awesome. Have you guys been following any newer X-Men stuff lately?
I have.
It's been
all.
overwhelming.
Yeah,
it's overwhelming, but it's a little.
I have them all right here in my box, and one day I'm gonna catch up. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm.
Polly just corrected me. Polly just corrected me. It is 10 of Swords, and I knew that.
You
I was
stupid bitch.
I was being a fool.
Polly's gonna get you.
I'm gonna get her.
Polly is holding your butt to the coals there for this.
I'm gonna be lurking in the shadows, and the second you say something that's not 100% factually accurate, I'm gonna jump out and scream in your face. That's what's gonna happen.
For the record, that stupid bitch comment was towards Judah, because Polly will find me. Just so you know.
Or was it? Also, Polly is our resident Russian in the Facebook group, so
I'm loving this Polly person. She sounds awesome.
she will get you.
She's great. We'll bring her on the show. If we ever get Bill Sienkiewicz on this show, we're gonna have to bring on Polly because she's the biggest fan that I've ever met. So, that'll hopefully happen maybe someday.
We did do a live with Polly before.
We did do a live with Polly. That's right. It was a very popular live.
Our early
seemed
one.
to like it. Cool. So, yeah, I'm excited. A lot of these newer X-Men series, I'm trade waiting, because it's like you said, Anthony, it is overwhelming, and I like what they're doing, but it's just so much.
It's a
sketchy Gothans. Am I saying that right? I love the X-Men, but I don't know where to start, and
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you write a thing on the X-Men for that specific answer?
So I actually on our website I have a thread that I actually need to update, but it's a kind of describes like a mass reading order for the X-Men. But I kind of feel bad for posting that because I think it'll do more to dissuade people from ever reading X-Men than it will to guide people through the X-Men, because nobody's ready to sit down and read 70 trades. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean like X-Men period, or just the new stuff with X-Men?
So I'm not caught up on the new, but I started in 2018, and it took me over a year. I read chronologically all mutant adjacent titles, starting with not starting with X-Men #1. I did read X-Men #1, but I actually started with the Rise of Apocalypse, which is like a prequel series set in the ancient times. You know. So it was like I did a chronological read of all things mutant. It took me forever, and there's some really terrible stuff in there, by the way.
I was gonna say,
nobody needs to do that.
Did you read the score, like the Zorn or Sorn or whatever that?
The new X-Men.
Oh yeah, the Grant Morrison stuff. Part. No, that was the good part. I'm talking about the stuff that followed it, like all the retcons, like not really Sorn, and Sorn is Magneto's not brother. Magneto is it's a mess.
So there's an event. There's an event in the 90s called Onslaught. It was like 1996, and it was okay. But everything after Onslaught, leading up, everything between Onslaught in '96 to New X-Men in I think it was 2004, 2001, or 2004.
2003 maybe. I'm not sure. I was just writing about this too, about the Extreme X-Men comics right before that ran alongside Grant Morrison's stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, alongside Grant Morrison stuff. Yeah, that's right.
The Extreme one that Storm was running.
Yeah, there's some really awful comics, some terrible comics. And then you don't really see it get good again until after Grant Morrison's run, and then it really does get great. Like some of the best X-Men comics happen in the late 2000s, early 2010s. Yeah, and then after Astonishing X-Men. That was the Joss Whedon run, and then the events like Second Coming and stuff like that, like the Christopher Yost X-Force and stuff. It's like some of the best mutant material I've ever read. But after Avengers vs. X-Men, it just plummets. It was like languishes for a while until Jonathan Hickman picked it up. And I'm just not 100% read in on Jonathan Hickman. I did read House of X Powers of 10, Polly. And it was or is it House of 10 Powers of X?
House of X Powers of 10, yeah.
But yeah, so that stuff is good, but I haven't read the newer titles. But this House of X, this 10 of Swords is exciting me. So
Dawn of X-Men. Hey, comics will break your heart. Welcome. Do you want to jump in? You want to come in? We got a spot for you. So let me know.
Yeah. Seriously, you can dial us in if you want.
What else we got?
So we're gonna move on to the next news item. And this one, I'm pretty. Hey, Anthony, did you read Three Jokers? Are you reading that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh, sweet. Looking forward to potentially having a difference of opinion. So Three Jokers #2 dropped on Tuesday, and it was a doozy.
Yeah.
Before I weigh in, I want to hear what does everybody else hear. What do you guys think about Three Jokers?
Well, while we wait for that chat to come in, tell us what you don't like. I hear the breath. Anthony.
I hear the breath.
Everything.
Go. Start from the top. We want to hear it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, it's so edgy and I'm so edgy and it hurts when I laugh and
How did you feel about the whole Red Hood? I'll be a Robin thing before he kills him. Like, that's not badass.
It's so edgy. Here's the thing. It's what I expect. It's what you expect.
Yeah.
Is my problem with it. There's nothing in this so far that has surprised me or engaged me in a way which I wouldn't have predicted going in.
Yeah.
It's like it feels like it's following every single way of being edgy. Characters have an affair who shouldn't have an affair. It's not really any romance going on. I just love they're having sex.
Right.
Character who's beaten up before now gets to beat up this guy after being violently attacked beforehand. It's switching the inverting of the. I don't know. I just personally find it's playing out by a playbook that feels very like. Oh, I'm center of attention now. Wow, that's not good.
Yeah, I clicked that by accident, but I'm like, yeah, it works.
Fair enough. I feel my issue with it is it's everything I expected, the edgiest of all possible. Usually with a comic book storyline like this, I expect it to be some way of it being. I'm not sure I'm finding the right words for it because I'm half awake right now. Even I'm trying to find the right words. It feels very predictable. In a way that I was hoping it wouldn't be.
Okay.
And maybe I'm going in with the wrong expectations. That could be it too. I could be going in with the sense of, okay, hey, listen, you're hoping it's something really imaginative and clever, and really it's playing by everything you kind of saw coming when you picked up the first issue. I feel my biggest issue, I think, personally, is I'm really just tired of stories that try to be it's like Killing Joke. So I'm getting at. It feels like it's just recycling elements of Killing Joke and elements of Death of the Family and elements of Under the Red Hood and doing it in a way that is less original and less emotionally rewarding than those titles were. I feel like it's going through stories and lines and visuals and ideas, and also just the Killing Joke animated movie, which I didn't care for personally. But the whole stuff.
It was not good.
No, it feels like they're doing Barbara Gordon dirty. I feel like the only character who is coming across as anywhere decently is Jason Todd, and he's already done really everything he's doing here better in Under the Red Hood. Yeah, he doesn't shoot the Joker, but spoilers for the first issue. But like,
it was last week. It's okay.
Yeah, but it's not like that's gonna really get rid of the Joker, and it doesn't feel like this story's gonna be have a lasting impact on how the Joker's written either. I don't know. It feels like everything in here might just be like, oh, it sounds important now, like when they chopped off Joker's face, but like in 3 years, this is not going to be a story that gets referenced. I don't think, and I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But
dude, that's mainstream Big Two comics in general. They have to reset to the status quo no matter what happens, and that's
true. I feel that's I feel that restrains
It
how
does.
they can go with it, and that bothers me because I feel like you can this concept when you first shared like, oh, there's 3 Jokers, how many years ago was that? That was like 5 years ago, wasn't it, when they first teased the storyline?
Oh,
It was
with
at the
whole
end
Mobius
of
chair?
Darkseid War, where Batman's sitting in the Mobius chair and he's like,
Yeah.
there are 3 Jokers, and then they never touched it again until recently.
Well,
I feel like
he asked,
if it
what's
was the next
the
story that
name?
followed, I would have been fine with it.
Yeah.
But because we waited so long, it's become built up so much in terms of the fan expectation. How are you going to pay this off? The payoff is just, if it was a few months between this and Darkseid Wars, that would have been different.
Right.
But the fact it's so long, I feel
It's
like,
like you have to constantly tell people like, oh, he sat in the Mobius chair, he asked the name of the Joker, and all this stuff happens, and then it's like, by the way, that was like 3 years ago.
So Anthony, I want to respond to what you said, but first I want to respond to something Comics Will Break Your Heart said. She goes, I agree that I don't feel like there's anything original. Excuse me. I feel like there's nothing original going on, and yet we're getting another Batman origin story. I agree. I'm sick of Martha. I've said this. I keep saying this. I'm sick of Martha Wayne's pearls. Enough with the pearls. Like, we're constantly looking at Martha Wayne's pearls. I feel like there needs to be a CW spin-off called Martha Wayne's Pearls, just about her pearls.
Pearls either. Good pearls don't fall apart that easily. I'm just saying.
What kind of pearls was that?
Cheap ones. Very cheap.
Well,
For a rich family, they have cheap pearls.
Maybe they were nice pearls that were just strung together with dental floss. That could be it. You know what I mean? She was like, oh, I gotta wear these pearls tonight. But
The necklace
broke.
itself. As she died, she looked at Mr. Wayne and was like, "You bitch."
These are cheap.
Why would they fall apart like this? Michael did say 3 Jokers is great. Ant is wrong. Wrong, I tell you. I'm sure he's kidding. And then Comics Will Break Your Heart says, I hate 3 Jokers. Sketchy Got Hands. He clarified what his name is. I did see Gotham too. Was it Gotham's? Sketchy Got Hands says, I understand where Anthony's coming from. It's cliche. Polly goes back to X-Men, says, speaking of status quo, the good thing about the latest X-Men, it's not easy to reset. That's why I tell people, that's why I agreed with Polly when he says what's a good place to start. I said, honestly, just start with House of X Powers of 10, because they've done so much into that resetting to Claremont or something is not going to happen. It can't happen.
No.
So
unless the very last issue is like someone wakes up and it was all a dream. That's it.
Right.
Oh,
so,
God, no.
So I'm about to defend 3 Jokers because I'm enjoying it. One thing, and you made some very good points, and I agree with most of them. I like it despite those things, because one thing that you didn't mention is the meta commentary.
Okay, how so?
So the 3 Jokers, there's always been 3 Jokers. Even before Darkseid War, we've always known about 3 Jokers, because if you remember, in the 1940s, Joker was this sociopathic serial killer, and then throughout as the Golden Age kind of bleeds into the Silver Age, you had the very funny, ridiculous Joker that just wanted to paint Gotham purple or make fish smile or whatever
clown.
stupid bullshit that reflective of like the Burt Ward series, and then as we drifted into the 80s with the Killing Joke, all of a sudden we got this homicidal clown again, and I mean, it's there's been so many incompatible portrayals of the character. It's almost like it had to be addressed that maybe there really are just 3 Jokers, rather than us have to accept that these are all the same guy. So I kind of appreciate that outward look at the character as like actually manifesting as 3 different personas. And I like the the references to the Killing Joke and Death in the Family and Under the Red Hood and whatever. I feel like instead of relying on those things, it's really taking those things and bringing them full circle. So that's kind of how I look at it. I'm not saying that you're wrong, that it's heavily indebted to those things, but I see this as a culmination of those things, like a culminating event. Jason Fabok's art knocks me out of the water. I mean, even if I hated the story, I couldn't deny how awesome his work is. He really what's the word? It's like almost like a tribute to Brian Boland. Just the way it looks and the line work, but also like the lighting and the way Joker's face reflects, and it's the shiny Joker face, the kind that I like.
Oh, it's great. All my criticisms are of the story, not of the artwork. The artwork is fantastic. If I may though respond to one thing you did say though, the meta commentary with the Joker, I do like that, but I feel that, and I forget who wrote Gotham, Arkham Asylum.
Grant Morrison.
That was Grant Morrison. Okay, I loved Grant Morrison's take on Joker's personality, the hyper sanity. I love the idea that it is just one person who, because he's like a dark reflection of our hero, changes depending on the outside circumstances. I think honestly, if I'm getting down to anything with this whole thing, is that I feel like making 3 Jokers actually cheapens the Joker. Because I like it how it's one person who's just so undefinably terrible that he can adjust. He can be like a chameleon and just fit into any scenario perfectly and still be that same identifiable figure. But I also can see the appeal of there being 3 Jokers. I think both interpretations I think are valid in terms of how well they function in the confines of a story. But I like it when it's more one singular antagonist who's just this one singular unknowable force rather than 3 separate knowable forces. Because in my opinion, the less the Joker makes sense, the better the Joker is. That's why I'm not a big fan. This is going to be my most controversial statement of the night. I wasn't a big fan of the Joaquin Phoenix film, not because it was a bad film. I think it was a great film. I just never saw the Joker.
It takes the mystery out of the Joker in some ways.
Yeah. I saw this as like a Clockwork Orange kind of movie where it's like you get to know a really unstable person's mindset very well. And it does a really good job at putting you in this place. But the Joker, you should never feel like you know him. You should never expect... If a good Joker story makes you think this guy is pure chaos, he is pure anarchy, he is pure mischief, but he's also maybe not pure evil because there's a sense of humor to everything he does. The only logic is it's funny in some sick way.
Let me ask you this: do you feel the same way about the totemization of totemization of Spider-Man, where?
That's different because the totemistic element I like, but it's also was never established as concrete. Because with the way the JMS story ran, it was always implying it was always questioning. Ezekiel was always questioning with Spider-Man the totemic energies. With Moreland, it was more the symbolic totems involved. It wasn't like a literal entity. So the idea of a overtone, and plus they never really address it outside of like Spider-Verse stories or whenever Ezekiel shows up. So it never changes who Spider-Man is as a person. It's more just some underlying cosmic undercurrent.
It takes away a little. It takes away a little bit though, because he's no longer just this chance encounter where this kid develops these powers.
Spider,
It's part of the fabric of existence.
That's fair, and I agree. I don't disagree with that statement. I totally agree. But for me, reading it, it felt more like this is an undercurrent that affects everything else, but it doesn't supersede everything else. Whereas with the
it can also be ignored. It can also be ignored. Yeah,
absolutely. You can ignore everything about that, and nothing would change. But if you ignore the fact there's 3 Jokers, that should, in theory, change everything else. It's no longer an undercurrent. This is the entire current. In fact, not only was there not only is it affected the current, you realize you're seeing the intersection of 3 different currents, but this whole time you just never noticed it.
And it recontextualizes thousands of issues of comic books.
But we don't know how this is going to close. So I would be willing to bet that given how they've done everything, even with the Killing Joke, where it's like at the very end, what does he do? He does like he gives you the, was that my story? Like, did you just get the truth?
Sometimes I remember it. Sometimes I remember it one way. Sometimes I remember it another way. If I'm gonna have a past, it's gonna be multiple choice. Right?
So if they don't do that, in my opinion. If they don't do that at the end of 3 Jokers, that'll be interesting. I did want to say one thing because I find myself, and I hate it because there's a lot of good commentary out there about why Joker is not good. I saw a really good movie that talked about
Talking about the movie, right?
the movie Joker. That I saw a really good commentary with regard to white privilege or incel community and stuff like that. That was way more convincing the original stuff that had come out, because I had already kind of like written that off as stupid and reactionary and kind of like alarmist. But then I saw this breakdown that was like, wow, that's really good. It doesn't stop me from not liking it. It was just more information that I go, okay. But I'm always defending it. And let me ask you a question. Given the explanatory nature of the movie itself and how it's contradictory to the chaotic, unknowable nature of Joker itself, the character. Mm-hmm. Given that there is that unreliable narration throughout the movie, what's real, what's not, some of the things at the end were made obvious of what's not real. Don't we have the same thing? Like, can't you walk out of that movie?
Sense of mystery?
Yeah, you can walk out of that movie and go, I still don't know what the fuck's going on. And even if they, let's pretend I know they're not going to, but let's say they do sequels and we watch him turn into the Joker. They could do a 3-part sequel of watching him turn into the Joker we know, and still you can look back and go, but how much of the first 2 were real? And then, like, I don't know. I really like it.
More apparent, I think, with the unreliable narrator element.
Yeah.
I also think, honestly, and I'm being totally honest, I don't know what you do with 2 or 3 more films with the Joker, because you'd have to make it so you establish him as the clown prince of crime, right? Mm-hmm. You'd have to show him as an actual villain. Mm-hmm. The Joker movie was way too sympathetic with the Joker.
What they should do is not have another Joker movie, but have that Joker show up in the what's that guy from Twilight's name again?
Yeah. Robert Pattinson.
Have that, if they have that Joker just surprise show up in Robert Pattinson's Batman. That would be cool.
You said something interesting right there, though. You said you wanted him to be more apparent because they were too sympathetic towards him. This is the kind of conversation we were having before. The movie appeared sympathetic towards him. The movie's like, I don't like the movie because they did poor me type of narration. Mm-hmm. That is that's what goes on inside an incel's head. That's what goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so of course
that's true,
right? And so if we're getting what's inside his head, then the story being told seems sympathetic, but you got to understand that that's the kind of fucked up shit he's thinking. So he becomes evil, I don't know.
I see that, but here's my issue. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of really good films that really demonstrate that what you're seeing isn't real. And I think a great example of that, it's not a superhero film, it's a horror film. Ever see the movie Jacob's Ladder?
Oh yeah. I don't remember it, but yeah,
amazing film.
When I was little.
Jacob's Ladder really does a great job at showing you things that you then realize after the fact aren't real, and then you kind of question everything you saw when you were done with it. If a sequel to The Joker pulled like a Jacob's Ladder situation where they really or American Psycho, alternatively, where they really show you, hey, listen, what you just saw wasn't all real. What wasn't real? What is real? Rather than say, because with Joker, the idea is you were given misinformation and you chose to believe certain facts you presented, but not other facts you presented. But nothing is really self-contradictory. Not to the same extent as American Psycho or Jacob's Ladder.
Yeah.
If Joker was more self-contradictory in its nature, then I would totally everything you just said, 100% agree. But the fact that it wasn't self-contradictory enough in its writing is where I kind of go with the surface level approach to it. Because I was hoping it would pull like an American Psycho and be more like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. He's not dead. I talked to him last week. You thought you killed him? Well, maybe you did, and I'm just a superficial idiot. Maybe you didn't, and you just thought you're just fantasizing about it.
Right.
If they pulled that, I would have, in a heartbeat, I would have been on this movie side 100%. Okay. But they hold back enough because, yes, you could argue that everything that happens is an own delusion of the situation, and nothing really is real and all that. But I think that you'd have to frame it more in context for the audience to really pick up on that. That's my opinion. Again, I see both sides.
A lot of it's a business. A lot of it has to do with business. It's an esoteric film that it's a character study, an esoteric, almost like an indie film that they branded for DC. So the movie didn't have to be about the Joker from DC Comics. It could have just been about some psychopathic nut job, and then no one would be there'd be a whole different discussion surrounding it. But because it's called Joker and it uses the DC Comics character the Joker, they can't fuck your mind too much because it has to somehow fit into the greater Batman canon. You know what I mean?
You know, that's
Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer.
That's interesting you said that, and we can move on. But let me ask you said something that made me think of this. If it wasn't called Joker, if this wasn't about the Joker, it would be much easier for me to go, is this a movie that sympathizes incels? Is this what I'm supposed to be getting out of this? But because it's the Joker, and you can't, it's impossible to watch it without without the knowledge we already have. Now I can go, something else is going on. When you look at Killing Joke, when we look at how we don't really know what we're seeing, and then they play on that with the unreliable narrative. Now I get to look at it in the lens of, maybe it seemed, like you said, like without it being spoon-fed to me, without it being obvious, like in Jacob's Ladder or American Psycho, I get to I don't need it spoon-fed to me because I know who the character is. So now, what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. So and yeah, I'm also ready to move on, but just made me think of this. Like when I watch a movie like that, or when I watch a movie like American Psycho, I don't need the movie. I don't need the hands pulling the strings outside of what we're seeing on the screen to indicate to me whether the character's good or not. I'm judging their deeds. So I can watch a sympathetic villain and still not be swayed that they're not a villain. You know what I mean? I don't need the movie to be like, by the way, guys, he's a bad guy. Oh, by the way, we don't like him. Oh, shame on him. I don't need that. I can judge his deeds. I can watch a movie where he kills people, and at the end of the movie be like, well, what a piece of shit. But still an interesting character study into what he thinks of himself, So to me, it's immaterial. I'm not going to leave the movie thinking, I wonder if that movie was trying to convince me he was a good guy. Because that part doesn't really matter so much to me. Although I understand where you're coming from in that regard, like the perspective of the film.
Well, I wasn't really saying being overt about it. I'm just saying him do an act that's not defensible. Because I honestly never saw. Because when I watch the movie, everything he's doing, I'm like, he's a piece of, that guy you killed was terrible. Well, he can die. That guy was awful. Let him go. I never felt morally upset with anything. It's not like with A Clockwork Orange again, where they never frame Alex as the bad guy, but then he rapes a woman in front of, and that's to the audience horrible. But then he just moves on with his life, and no one ever regards it. That was what I was looking for more, where he does something awful. You don't have to necessarily be told it's bad, but it's just demonstrably bad. I never thought Joker killed anyone who didn't deserve it in the film, to some extent, except for Robert De Niro. That's the extent of it. It's the only character where I'm like, yeah, not so much. But everyone else, I'm like, screw that guy.
Right. And it's a trick. It's a movie trick where they're like, let's have a character do a thing that's a little bad but justifiable. Let's have them do something that's even a little worse but still maybe justifiable. And then he crosses that line, and the trick they play on you as the audience is now you're justifying shit that's bad and you're learning something about yourself, that's fucked up. And the movie's actually lifted the veil over your soul or whatever. I don't know. Different ways to look at it, but
Clockwork Orange, basically. They're describing.
Right.
All right.
So speaking of movies, that's a segue, folks. Whenever I say speaking of anything, that's a segue. Speaking of thing, you guys remember Amazing Spider-Man 2? It was, in my opinion, not a great movie. There was the villain, Electro. Jamie Foxx played him, and Jamie Foxx is coming back to Spider-Man to play Electro again, but as the MCU version. And apparently, according to Jamie Foxx, he is not going to be blue. So that's cool. I think my personal opinion is that he was one of the more redeeming qualities of Spider-Man 2, which I thought was otherwise not a stellar film. So I'm excited to see him return, and I'm glad. I hope people always speculate that they're doing some kind of multiversal thing where worlds collide and that Electro's in the MCU now. I'm sure Kevin Feige is not doing that.
But it's just weird because they're doing the Vulture in Sony, and then we had the Raimi what's the dude who owns the newspaper company?
J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, they had
J.K. Simmons, the best casting choice in any film
ever.
They
had him.
Yeah.
So the way they're mixing up these actors, I don't think a Spider-Verse multiverse thing, especially with Doctor Strange's titles coming out, I don't think that's off the table. I don't think that's crazy to think about.
I think personally, did you guys ever read the leaked emails from Sony? First off, because this kind of draws from that. Back before the Spider-Man deal went through, a bunch of Sony emails were leaked online, and many of them were from Kevin Feige about The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And it was very clear from those emails that Kevin Feige liked the general idea of Jamie Foxx as Electro. We thought, he's going to be great casting. There's some things you can hear. They're really clever. Few notes. Sony didn't listen to the notes. The film didn't turn out as well as it could have. And I feel like this is Kevin Feige going, okay, we can do Electro better. Because Electro, I personally wasn't a big fan of Electro in the film. I thought he could have been better, but I'm also not a big Electro fan in general. When it comes to Spider-Man, he's not my favorite villain. I think Mysterio is one of my favorites of the old school villains, so I was really happy to see him on screen. I feel that Electro is a good option here. I also feel like they're setting up a Sinister Six movie. And who is left?
They kind of indicated that, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Who's left on the roster? You have Electro, Vulture, Mysterio. You can throw in Doc Ock, hopefully sooner than later. He'd be great. And I think, honestly, who else? I feel like in general, like, they are setting up... Oh, Sandman also, you can do him too. I don't think Electro is going to be the only bad guy. I think it's going to be a couple of different villains trying to hunt down Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I think that it's going to be a big film, and I'm really eager to see what they do with it. And I'm really excited to see Jamie Foxx as Electro, doing with a script that really works in his favor. Because he's a good actor. He's a really good actor. I think if he does a little less of the Riddler from Batman Forever routine he did in Batman 2,
that's right.
I think he could be a really compelling, intense villain. Because every Spider-Man villain in the MCU has been really good.
Right.
Like, Vulture and Mysterio are both really good villains.
Spot on.
They're perfect. They're great. They're some of the best MCU villains yet. So I think Jamie Foxx as Electro is a good second chance. And I'm hoping that they make him... I'm not sure if they do like him like a pure electricity again creature, or if they make him like a guy who can just shoot electricity out of his body. Either way...
Give him the funny mask. He's got to have the funny mask.
I can't wait for the starfish mask. I'm so excited for that, man. You have no idea. I love that stupid costume. It's great. It's so ridiculous. I love it. I'm really eager to see this. I think it's great. I want to know more about the movie, though. I don't want to... I always assumed that Scorpion would be the main bad guy, because they built him up in like the first Spider-Man films. I hope we see some Scorpion in there too. But I can see this being like an ensemble film. It's like him on the run from someone hunting him down or something going on. Because the last Spider-Man film was so great, and it really left you on like a real cliffhanger. So I'm really curious what they're gonna do with it. But sorry. I think that the whole thing with Electro is going to be awesome. In short,
I think it's.
I hope Spider-Man dies at the end, or goes into a coma at the end, and the last post-credit scene is Doc Ock like walking into the operating room or something.
Oh,
that'd be
my
great.
God.
Superior, baby. That'd be awesome.
That would be crazy. What do you guys feel about Miles introducing Miles Morales to the MCU?
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. It's definitely. I mean, they've already mentioned his uncle, or his cousin. I can't remember, but it's definitely
Aaron Davis. Yeah,
it's definitely going to happen. When it happens, I think they're gonna complete Peter Parker's arc, and then they will develop Miles.
That's what I hope.
Yeah.
I can see a side by side, because you look at like what they're doing right now in Disney Plus. You have Miss Marvel. You have the new Hawkeye series that's going to bring in Kate Bishop. You have the third Ant-Man film, which is going to bring in Stature. I think they're bringing in legacy characters left and right. You might see Iron Lad, who's really, spoiler alert for the Young Avengers comics, but it's King the Conqueror.
Yeah.
They're building up a lot of really cool stuff here, and I feel they're trying to make a multi-generational story. I feel they're going to do Miles Morales, and it's going to be like a side-by-side thing, like what they're doing in the PS4, PS5 Spider-Man game now, where they can coexist at the same time and just tell different side-by-side stories.
I'm cool with
really
that.
Cool. I mean, I'd love that. It'd be great.
I hope it happens. I would say it kind of goes into the whole I hope they do it right kind of spiel that people do, because what they could end up doing, and this will piss off a lot of people, is if he becomes some sort of background character.
Not allowed.
Yeah, if he becomes like a side character to Peter Parker in a movie, I don't think that. I think what I hope is that Miles Morales gets his own title, and that's what I need.
I could see them, and this might make people upset. But they're based on what you guys are just said. There's a good chance he's just going to be the Disney Plus Spider-Man.
Pops in,
you know what I
mean?
I wouldn't mind that, actually. If it's his own title and he gets his own, I mean, they have a Nick Fury deal coming out, and the budget has freaking Samuel Jackson in it. They have the Olsen and the dude who plays Vision. Like, you know what I mean? So in the WandaVision show, they have the budget for those stars for that series. If they give me a Miles Morales that's done right, that's done as not a side character, as a here's some scraps type of shit, I'm okay with the TV show with it.
The Mandalorian is still one of the best Star Wars related things in the last 10 years, period.
100%.
So if we only got a Miles Morales series, that would be
dope.
Not an only, not necessarily an only.
Exactly.
Me and Robo have talked about this kind of extensively, and I think I don't think we disagree that strongly. My only issue is trend, is what we've seen in the past, and it's that some things that are made, shows don't cross over with movies yet.
No.
So
not as much
until it happens, I'm always going to be a little disappointed if someone shows up on the TV that isn't in the movie, because then in my head it's like, well, I guess that means at the next culminating event like Endgame, they're not going to come through a portal. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing with the MCU is they've already announced that WandaVision will directly tie in with Doctor Strange 2, and that Loki will tie in directly with Doctor Strange 2, and that Falcon and the Winter Soldier will tie in with the Avengers stuff coming up.
I don't trust them. They destroyed my trust because they said something very similar when Jessica Jones and Daredevil started on Netflix.
But there's one key difference. Jeff Johns versus Kevin Feige. So all those were covered by the Jeff Johns. Not Jeff Johns. No, Jeff Johns is DC. No.
Jeff Loeb.
Jeff Loeb. There we go. There was too many Jeffs.
So Jeff Loeb's an asshole, by the way.
He is. Oh yeah, he's horrendous and awful, and he's not a very good person at all. No, Jeff Loeb, his whole racist, but on the Netflix side, none of that tied in really directly with the movie side, because Jeff Loeb was kind of had a dominating opinion on aspect on everything. That's why the Inhumans was so lame.
Lame.
It was terrible. That's why you didn't see the Runaways join up with the Avengers at any point either. Or why Hellstrom probably won't tie in with anything either. They're doing it with Disney Plus. That isn't. Anyway, I'm probably gonna have to bounce. I think at this point, I'm just looking at the time.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to look at the time.
Yeah.
And
okay, this is great joining you guys. I'll join you guys hopefully.
We have 2 more items if you can stick it out, but if you can't, I understand.
He was supposed to get out of here at an hour, and
I have to bounce at this point. Very sorry, but
okay.
It was great. Thank you for letting me join you guys. It was a great time. I was enjoying every second of it. Hence why I went 20 minutes over I was supposed to.
No worries.
It's always great to see you, and you're welcome back anytime. We love
Congratulations again on your engagement.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
I will join you guys hopefully in the future. So hopefully your followers who haven't seen me in 2 months will get the idea.
Yeah.
How could they forget you?
Hopefully not too much.
All right, take it easy.
Take care, guys.
Take it easy. And just in case you wanted to see more Ant, he's on CBR. He's on the Mary Sue, and his Twitter. Can we get his Twitter up, Robo? Or
sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Please. Thank you.
One day.
So if you guys want to follow him on Twitter, he's a cool ass dude, as I'm sure you guys have already seen. So we got 2 more news items, and it's just gonna be me and Robo. So you guys better. This is when the shit really gets crazy. So you guys better buckle your seatbelts.
Gramuglia.
Yeah. So, you just caught me scratching my armpit on. Oh, God, that's embarrassing. All right.
Now smell it.
So, some salt and tea, I think is what the kids call it. Tea, spilling tea. We got Neil Gaiman. He updated his Twitter followers about the upcoming Netflix Salmon adaptation to say that shooting would begin in 3 weeks. A so-called fan pleaded with him in a now deleted tweet to not allow Netflix to ruin the series with any politically correct nonsense. The author replied to the tweet defending such choices as being true to the source material. Come on, dude. Do you even fucking read Neil Gaiman? You know what I mean?
I got the tweet up now. Are we gonna read it?
Yeah, I'm gonna read it in Neil's voice though.
Do it.
Got it. So you won't Sandman without the LGBT plus people who are in it, without the female lead characters, and without the people of color. Are you sure it will still be Sandman once you're through? It's true. Read Sandman. It's full of. It has a diverse cast. It's a very progressively minded series, and it's always been that way. And there's no way anyone would say that if they've read Sandman. So this dude definitely put his foot in his mouth.
I think that's you want to talk about The Boys real quick? Unless you have more to say on that.
I don't really have more to say on that. I just thought it was kind of funny.
I don't know. I don't know why that's such a theme now. Like it's like people telling on themselves, and we've heard it, right? We hear it with politics. We hear it with a lot of stuff. Why is that the theme? It's just a bunch of people coming out like telling on themselves, saying, "I don't really read comics, so I'm gonna complain about this." And I feel like the only explanation is that they have somebody who probably has a large social media presence. They respect that person. They probably have learned a lot about pop culture or the genre from this person. And I'm not even talking about anybody in particular. I'm just saying, like, somebody you watch on YouTube or Twitter says a thing.
Douchebag.
Yeah, so then that must be the truth. So this is what I've been listening to. I've allowed this channel to rot my brain for the last 2-3 years. And so I say something, and then it's like, you don't read comics, or you don't read that comic at least. You know?
definitely didn't read Sandman. That's like, just to show you how ridiculous. That's like if someone if they were making a movie about X-Men and someone was like, just don't try to put all that fucking mutant shit in there, you know, like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like,
hey, I know you're running a new Punisher Max series. I hope you don't put any of that like violent stuff in there, you know, like,
yeah,
you know, just be normal.
Exactly.
You know how Punisher always is. Yeah, no, we get
normal, yeah. It's stupid. People telling on himself. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So The Boys. Let me say this, and I've been waiting all episode to make this joke, so it's gonna happen. I found that last scene rather mind-blowing.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, NBs, we are out of here. No, just kidding. This show
Michael Malone
is so good.
Michael Malone thought my British accent was offensive, by the way.
I don't know what he's talking about. It was exactly like every British person I've ever British, South African, Australian, New Zealand even. It was like a perfect amalgamation of all of them. So I think I would know. I'm American. So
yes.
Yes. Please tell me there's somebody in the chat who doesn't like The Boys, so we can boot him.
Someone,
no, just kidding.
Have you guys seen the up to the last night's episode? Because holy shit, I don't know what could happen from here. I mean, what could happen from here? You know what I mean? It's open war. It's like open. Everything's out in the open right now.
So there was a scene a couple episodes ago where the Homelander is like addressing the protesters, thinking he can calm them down, and then he just wrecks them, just fucking wrecks them, and I'm like, oh my god, this freaking show, and then boom, it wasn't real, right? So by the way, for those in the chat and anybody who might be watching an hour and a half long live show after it's done, spoilers. So we sit there, and as soon as it's done, I'm like, this is fucking insane. He's that's it. Oh, it was all a dream, right? It was all a dream. It was all happening in his head. It was something he wanted to do, and they showed us. In the last episode, when, spoiler fucking alert, everyone's fucking head started exploding. I was like, oh, this is another one of those. This is like something's going on, and I'm like,
and then the credits.
Oh yeah, this is really happening, and
it's got to be that shave head chick from the asylum.
Yeah, and I think that's only obvious to me because I watched like 3 in a row yesterday to catch up, and so I got them all back to back. If you're watching them 1 week at a time, it seems like a lot of people miss that. You know what I mean? Because you're right. She's exactly the one who had that power.
I'm so amped to see Homelander and Stormfront get their asses handed to them, and it's like starting to. One thing. So this might not be a valid complaint, but it emotionally upsets me. Every time I keep waiting to see if maybe what's her face, the main Starlight. I keep waiting to see if maybe Starlight is way the fuck more powerful than people think.
I bet she is.
And I was hoping to see that when she was fighting what's his face, the dark guy.
Black Noir.
Black Noir. Yeah. I was expecting her to like be like when he was pinning her, I was like waiting for her eyes to light up and for her to blast him into oblivion, and it just didn't happen. That was really, really disappointing.
Yeah, I think she's gonna come up. I think it's gonna happen. What's the dude that writes the comic?
Garth Ennis.
Yeah. So here's the thing, and you would know more than me. As I wait for Homelander and Starlight to like get their comeuppance, right? Not the comeuppance, they're just desserts. I remember that it's this dude who writes it has no, like, you know, I mean, the story is not there to make you feel good. So I'm like, man, I'm gonna watch Homelander and Stormfront just keep winning, aren't I? You know, and
there's got to be a payoff, you know.
Michael Malone says Queen Maeve is gonna throw hands with Stormfront. It's in the trailer. Fair. And that Queen Maeve is another one where I hope like maybe there's like some level of power that just like imagine if the season finale is. I would know if I read the books, and I haven't, and I think I might, just so I could ruin it for myself. But how awesome would it be if like season finale is she's so mad and she punches and she puts a hole through Homelander's head? Like,
the only issue I have with that is I don't feel like Queen Maeve is the one who deserves it. You know what I mean? Like she hasn't been wronged by Homelander to the same extent as Starlight, right, or or any of these characters. Like as far as you want to talk poetic justice. Sorry, my cat is stepping on cords right now. Mm-hmm. Bad kitty. Let's say hi. Yeah. So Queen Maeve, like I like it when the person who doles out justice is the person who deserves it the most.
Right.
So like I want Starlight to fuck up Homelander. I want Stormfront to get fucked up by what's her name, Mariko or Yuri.
Okay, yeah.
Yukio, yeah. Like that's what I want to see. Maeve, like she's been benefiting from this shit for so long,
right? And
she's not a great person. Like she's lies. She was there on the plane. Like she hasn't done enough of a redemption arc yet for me to really.
She represents a certain type of abuse victim, though. So I'm with you 100%. But it's that kind of person who sticks around abuse and then rationalizes it because that's the best way to survive the situation they're in. Or maybe they get themselves in a situation where it's already they're in too deep and now they're with somebody who can completely kill them. You're right. What I would need in the redemption arc for Queen Maeve is for her to actively say, "I'm done and I'm ready for the harm that's coming to me to
right
this action." Yeah.
It has to be a selfless decision. It can't be the good guys are winning now, might as well decision.
Right. That's right. Michael Malone says Butcher is going to take the drug and fight Homelander, which would be dope.
Yeah.
I think it would be dope.
That makes me That's not my favorite outcome, but it'd be okay. It'd be kind of cool
to get one of the human dudes. So I think in the comics, Mother's Milk, he has powers in the comics, and then it's like hidden, and then it comes out as a plot twist. It doesn't look like he has them in the show. So I think one of the crew is gonna get powers, and then become somebody. So I don't know. Maybe I'll start reading.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. I'm excited though. It's a good show. Sorry, this cat is like driving me crazy right now. She's such a bitch. Such a bitch.
It looks like she's just sitting there.
She's vibrating. She's like a vibrating pillow. She's like purring so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. There's really not much else to say about it. It's that's the penultimate episode. The finale is next week.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely gonna watch it. So the only other news item we had is I wanted to talk about James Bond. I'm thinking I might save that for next time. Just because we're kind of running long, and also it's more of a fun conversation with. I know Robo is not a huge Bond fan. It's more of a conversation I want to have with like 4 other people, including Robo. Not saying I don't want to talk about it with Robo, but you know what I mean. Like, cool. I was hoping for more of a James Bond kind of like overall roundtable discussion, and yeah, I'm gonna save it unless you have an objection.
No, that's good. Hey guys, before we do go, I don't know how many people are still watching, but what I did want to do real quick, we will have the episode up shortly, but I just wanted to gush a little bit about Garrett Gunn. And there's a Kickstarter. If you just go to Google and Google Warcorns Back to Basics, and it's kind of like along those lines of Pretty Violent, where it looks like it's drawn for little kids, but then absolutely is not. My favorite are these, like, if you look in the top left, there's like a little tiny horse. Those little tiny horses. And the one in the middle with it's sitting on the shoulder shooting a gun, the characters don't see those. Those are just for us. And there's a whole backstory to them, and they're hilarious. This one looks like it's farting rainbows. It is pretty awesome. The dude, he was supposed to be on the show today, but I guess he didn't get back in time. He's a vet, and so it's kind of like done in this style that appeals to vets, but not just vets, also bronies and furries. And so it's
this is us discovering the next big thing. That's why we're excited about it, because this is really, really dope.
Yeah.
And he's a cool ass dude too. I hope you guys watch the episode when it drops, because it's great. I was at the beginning of the episode, and then my computer decided to update, so I missed the rest of it, and I was really disappointed because I was excited to talk to this guy. We're gonna have him back. He didn't make this live, but he will be in our live stream, and you guys are going to get to know him better. But definitely read this comic book. Yeah. It's really, really dope.
Yeah. If you haven't already, do me a favor. I know, especially if you're on your phone, you don't see it. Just minimize the chat. Throw a like on there. And if you don't subscribe and you're watching, please subscribe, because we got a lot of good stuff coming down. We've got Cullen Bunn and a dick ton of other stuff to do.
Cullen Bunn, we talked to Cullen Bunn, and we already said he's coming back for a part 2. So there's going to be 2 times the bun. And then we also have Fabian Nicieza, the co-creator of Deadpool, coming on Wednesday, and that episode should post shortly thereafter. But we just spoke to Ryan Stegman today. We're still working out of time, but he agreed to be on the show. The stuff coming down the pipeline is so exciting, and we want you guys to be a part of it, because it's all for you. Ultimately, that's all we care about is you. It's all for you. Just like in The Omen, when she like kills herself, and right beforehand she goes, "It's all for you, Damien." That's us for you.
I'm not gonna lie.
Without the suicide.
Out of all this stuff, oddly enough, it's the Ryan Stegman that's making me fanboy a little bit. I'm gonna fanboy out a little bit on that one, so I can't wait. All right, guys, don't forget to wash your hands. Wear your mask. It's not over yet. It's not over. If you are in the United States of America, please register to fucking vote. Register to vote. It's the unvoted people, not even third-party voters. It's the people who don't vote that really swing elections. So I'm not telling you who to vote for, but just fucking vote. Just fucking vote.
Not for Trump, though.
We out.
Thank you for watching IFLC. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and be free. Follow our links and watch our show because you want to and not because of the threats. Thank you for watching Judah, Robo, and Ree. We talk about comics, movies, and TV. Sometimes we have notable guests, and sometimes it's just us. But we're also cool.